I'm the co-founder with India Kern.
Good morning.
And India today is the voice. The
Oh,
voice of reason.
yes. Okay.
So we're going to be we're going to jump right into it because that's kind of what we do here. And one of the things that they love about our live events is that we just jump right into it. So I'm going to share this screen. And actually, I got to pull this over here because I'm not used to this Google silliness. But we're going to enlarge this. So today we're going to go over ourselves, digital domination, establishing your online presence. And what that means is just getting yourself out there into the social media and some of the things you need to do. So the first thing is the online listings. So you're more proficient at this than I am. I'm not a TikTok guy or an Instagram guy. I've the body and the face for radio and the voice. And so you're more of the TikTok and Instagram. But what other listings are there? When we say listings, I guess we're talking about Facebook and YouTube and Shorts. So tell us a little bit about, let's just go into the Instagram Reels and the Shorts and how those work and how you dominate them.
So, I don't do TikTok, but I think TikTok is a good way to go. I just, you're only spread. I don't want to spread myself too thin, right? So I concentrate on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, but I really concentrate on Instagram that goes to Facebook. So, and YouTube. Did I mention that? So video is my thing. I love video, and so I just make it a part of my day. I don't stress too much. In the beginning, when you get started, you don't have to post every day, and you don't want to just throw spaghetti at the wall, right? Because there needs to be some strategy to what you're doing, because let's just be honest, social media is more for brand awareness. You may get some customers, but really it's kind of like going to a cocktail party and being the obnoxious one that's selling your service. Like you don't want to go to a cocktail party and be like, oh, I sell essential oils. You want to try it? You want to try it? No, you want to blend in. You want to meet people. You want to say, hey, get to know people. That's what social media is for coaches, for entrepreneurs. You don't always push your stuff. In fact, I heard it's like an 80-20 rule. You want to get 80% content, valuable content that is for your customer, your ideal client. And then 20% you can do that, hey, you want my freebie? Hey, this might be useful. So yeah, I personally do Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube mostly. And but you got to find your niche. You got to find which works best. I mean, there's Snapchat, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's TikTok. There's so many things out there that it can eat up your whole day. So you do have to manage it, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay. So one of the things I'm trying to figure out. So this is the challenge. So this is a really good call today because it's something that I'm not savvy in. But there's different sizes of screens, like a 16. What is it? They're different ratios, is what they call them.
And then I forgot the vertical, but like you see on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, is vertical. It's like, when you do FaceTime, you get that very intimate feeling with that person. So that's what YouTube moved from the long form, the horizontal, the wider form, to they still do that, but they also have shorts, which moves it more to the vertical, like face to face, more intimate. And I know they did it as a result of TikTok and Instagram, and what they saw was the trend.
Right. And you know what they say about that?
What do they say?
They say no one wants to see shown in shorts. So anyhow, there's a little joke.
Okay.
So the thing is that the ratio, there's like 16:9. I don't really know how to say that. And here's the funny thing. We're Coach Marketing Mastery, but you're the master in this. So we'll just, to keep it simple for the listeners, there's the horizontal and the vertical, right? So everyone's going vertical. Now, when we blast out our content, we're going to want to blast it out vertical, okay? Now we use other software out there.
Right.
Like right now we're streaming at horizontal. So we're blasting out at 16:9 through the Restream. But then if we want to go vertical, we can use Opus and we can reconstruct it to where we can blast it out. And one of the cool things about Opus is we can just edit the videos and go click, 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 and shoot it out to all social media. Now, that being said, is there a time when you want to keep it horizontal to blast out? If you're not, if you're using Reels and you're using Shorts, is there a time when you want to go horizontal and keep it that
I mean, it's you have to test it, right? Because even on Instagram, you could do horizontal. It's going to be a whole different look, but you can do that. Test it to see what works. I mean, sometimes I do a horizontal on Instagram Reels. Typically, my verticals work better than the horizontal. But the great thing about doing like what we're doing now is we use the horizontal format while we're streaming, but then like you said, we repurpose that in 10 15 different ways, and we use software that turns it and makes it vertical. And on YouTube it's very cool because you can take a snippet of, like, say this, like a little tagline or something that we want to capture. We use that on a short, that's the vertical videos on YouTube, and then it can direct back to the long form of this live, and at some point it's going to be recorded, so we can take a short and direct it back to the long content of the podcast. So I do a lot of that. I'll take something, a snippet, get a person's attention, and then there's a redirect that after they watch that short, they can go to the longer form of video, which is what we really want, because we want them to engage and stay on the page longer and subscribe, right? So in Instagram, that would be follow. So you want followers. And the crazy thing is people are always thinking, I need more followers. I need more followers. Really, the better thing to look at is even if you have a small, like a following of like, just say you have 1,000. But if your followers engage, you actually have you can have better results than if you have 10,000 followers and you have very little engagement. So engagement is actually more important than followers. So don't get so stuck on, oh my gosh, I'm only 500 followers. But if your 500 followers are actually talking to you, that is golden. That's what you want. You want engagement. You want to ask questions. You want them to write you back. And so it is constantly throwing you back to the top. Like on LinkedIn, you always want people to comment because it goes back to the top. Right. So engagement is so much more important than followers.
Okay, cool. So then the next thing, and I really don't know how to use this, is going to be crafting a compelling brand. So this is really going to get down to all of the things we see on the screen, but for people on the podcast, it's going to be trust, design, value, strategy, logo, marketing, advertising, identity. Before we jump into this, a lot of people are like, I need to get my logo right before I get out there. Just get out there. If you're a coach, coaches coach, singers sing, painters paint. If you're not coaching, then you're just more of a dreamer. And so try not to get stuck on your logo or your design. But when it comes to the marketing and the trust and the value and the strategy, that's a lot of the things that we want to look at. So when you're crafting a compelling online brand, let's talk about our brand right now. What's so compelling about what we do?
Well, I believe that what we're talking to an entrepreneur, someone that has an online business and they just don't have the reach. They have no online presence. They want to serve others, yet nobody knows about them. So they're invisible. So as coaches, we want to help them solve that problem. We want them to get out there because, yes, you're right. People procrastinate because they're like, oh, this isn't perfect enough. You know what? It's okay. Go and do it, and you can always change that logo later. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's kind of like I see people always getting a certificate because they're not quite ready. They're like, oh, I can't quite do my business yet. I got to get 3 more letters behind my name. No, you don't. Just do it. Just get out there. Stop procrastinating. Same thing with your brand. Just make a logo in Canva. Nobody really cares what your logo looks like. It's just something to start branding yourself, and it can always evolve.
So do you know of any company or brand that has recently had a logo that was had a mistake in it?
Yes, I do. In fact,
Well, I
our
wonder who that could be.
That's true. Actually, that's a great example, show because we're always preaching, get out there, don't worry, have no shame, just go do a video. It's okay if you make a mistake. People want to see vulnerability. So we did a logo, we did it so fast because we've been hustling, right? And it's very easy to, when you're in a hurry, to make mistakes. So guess what? I made a mistake spelling coach. Of course I know how to
That was
spell.
actually me.
Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we blasted out with, it was spelled COACN instead of H, and it was all over the place. And rather than getting wrapped around the axle, we were just like, oh well, let's change it. No big deal. It's no big deal. So it's okay if you make a mistake. People will oftentimes go, oh, by the way, your logo's misspelled. You're like, oh shoot, I did that in such a hurry. But
Yeah.
I mean, even people that do this all the time will make mistakes and typos, and it's okay. You are human.
And the best thing about that is the people that are like, well, you made a blooper, therefore you're not the professional. So we're not going to hire you. We don't think that you're. So that's just someone, we dodged a bullet. Like literally, I've dealt with a lot of people. A lot of people know I'm the level of coaching I give. Sorry about this.
Well, I have a funny story about that too.
But real quick, the is the people that go, oh, you're fallible, I want a professional. Those people, the perfectionists, we have a saying, perfectionist finds fault in everything, starting with themselves.
Mhm.
So it's okay to be fallible, especially when it comes to marketing and advertising.
Right.
What's your
So
story?
my story is, I've been in the internet world for a while because my first husband pretty much was one of the pioneers, and he used to purposely make typos in his emails.
Oh yeah.
He would keep it. So I mean, so it's kind of funny that I would find out like there's a typo. Oh, it doesn't matter. It actually performs better. They would do testing and see that the typos would do better than the ones that were perfect.
Yeah, and one of the things about that is it's the engagement. So you're going to see there's a guy out there and he does these YouTube shorts, and it's so noisy out there that you probably haven't seen this guy, but he'll go, here's another computer hack you didn't know, or whatever. And then he'll pronounce things like, let's say it's Indiana, he'll say, Indiana, right? Or something like that. That came out really weird.
Link it in.
Yeah, link it in. Like LinkedIn, they'll say link it in. But he does that on purpose, and then everyone starts commenting, you don't know how to pronounce LinkedIn, and he's getting all this engagement, and it's actually getting him further out there in front of more people. Because once you engage and connect or comment, then it goes through your sphere of influence. So having that, having someone reply to your email saying you misspelled something, that's actually really good for your email servers.
Yeah, even negative comments are not a bad thing. I mean, I get them, and it's okay. It doesn't mean that I, retreat back into my shell. I actually laugh at it and I have fun with it, and I send back gifts and I just play. I don't care. It's okay if you don't agree with me.
Yeah, you want to know when you've made it? When you get your first hater.
I know.
You get your first hater, and it's like, oh my God, they're hating on me. This is horrible. But nah, you got someone that is actually engaging with you, even though it's negative. You're like, okay. And the thing is like I say, and I was just thinking about this morning, and I made this video. I don't know if you saw it, where I was driving through La Jolla in my car, and I had my ex-girlfriend, and I was like, you got to have an opinion as a coach, as an entrepreneur, even with your product. You have to have an opinion. Chevy versus Ford, right? Ferrari versus Maserati. You got to have an opinion, and people are going to go, that opinion's wrong,
Right.
but it's still engagement.
Right.
Okay, so then with the visibility, this is the tough one. This is the one that a lot of our clients and a lot of entrepreneurs have, is not just having the online visibility, but boosting it, getting it higher, getting the more engagement. So what are some ways that you were talking about on LinkedIn that when they comment, it puts it back to the top?
You
So,
always, when someone comments, you want to comment again, because every time you do that, it's going back to the top of the feed. So don't let those comments go without you just going right back behind them and going, "Thanks for sharing. I love your take on that." Whatever it is, just comment. And there was something else I was going to tell you. Oh, I can't remember. Keep on going. Oh, I know. It was, I don't really do many. There's a lot of ways to boost your post. You can. I don't really do much advertising or boosting on social media. I think content is king, and I think that's one of our slides.
yeah,
I believe that it's better to really focus on what your message is versus just getting stuff out every day and just throwing spaghetti at the wall. But if you concentrate on what your ideal client wants and needs to hear, that is going to have more impact than if you just constantly posting all kinds of things. And you do want to stay on topic. It's okay to show your personal side, like walking the dog, but most of your content should be applicable to what you're doing. And that's something I'm going through right now. Actually, I'm a divorce coach, but I'm also doing marketing mastery. So I'm having to blend the two. So it's a little tricky, but it's working. And
right.
and so anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is the word boost. If you see that in Facebook and you're new, do not click.
Right.
The reason the guy's a billionaire is because people are boosting. He's
Mhm.
like, hey, this would be a great thing to boost. And it's going to be like your dog doing the boot scoot and boogie
Right.
across the rug. And then whatever it is, they're going to say this would be a good thing to boost. Give us $1,
Mhm.
right? If you're not in the space of understanding boosting your content, you're not ready. And it also goes down to paid ads. A
Mhm.
lot of people run paid ads way before they're ready
Right.
to run paid ads. Even myself,
Me too.
I lost $250 in 16 minutes
Yeah.
because I had a coach tell me to do it, and I told him I don't want to. I want to do $20.
Mhm.
And I was literally on the phone with him and clicked, and we were still on the phone. I'm like, all the money's gone. And he goes, oops. I was like, yeah, oops.
Well, I don't think you have to advertise, especially in the beginning. You definitely don't want to do that, because it takes a lot of, Sharon can tell you, there's a lot of back into it. It's complex.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing about social media, it's like a free billboard, so why not use it? Just do
Yeah.
it, and
So,
play.
there's a guy named Todd Rampy, and I used to work with him. And I did a marketing for him, and he does stocks, and he's
Mhm.
like how to make better decisions buying stocks. Well, he just got a billboard, right? And I was like, okay, great. He's paying for a billboard. So I private messaged him and I said, listen, you need to get a drone and fly it around that billboard from all angles and
Mhm.
just put in a half hour of content flying around it from every angle, coming down from the top, coming up from the bottom, coming from right to left or the angle, kitty corner, whatever they call it,
Mhm.
and like coming around, going upside down, spinning. The reason I said that is if you're, let's say you're spending $500 to $1,000 a month to have a billboard up there, for traffic to see. Well, when you fly a drone on it, you have forever content of the billboard,
Mhm.
right? And that's going to be you're taking your offline visibility and you're putting it online. So there's a lot of different ways to grab content, even when it's offline. Okay.
Right.
So the next thing is, and I didn't want to say content is king, but
Mhm.
then we had a little rap battle over it, and India always wins. It's like arm wrestling, Andre the Giant. And the thing is that not everyone has heard content is king, but it's really the content is what gets people, whether it's good or bad. So do you got any stories about that? Because I have a pretty horrible story but I think people should understand it.
Let's hear. I want everyone to hear this. Solve your clients or your potential clients' problems. Don't talk about yourself. It's all about them. You can tell a story, but make sure you involve them in the story and it's not about you.
Yeah. Well, there's some content. There's this guy, and he used to sell watches, and they were horrible watches. They didn't work, and it was just not good. And so people would come. This has been changed. This is before Google Business and all this. This is probably in the 90s that this actually happened when Google was newer. But
Mhm.
what the guy found is people would complain about the watch and he would just drill into them. And he'd go, "Well, you're stupid and you don't deserve a watch and you're never going to get a refund and I don't care about you and you're a loser." Like he'd literally say stuff like that, and people would like start arguing and saying, "Hey man, you can't talk to me," and there'd be all this drama. So
Mhm.
there is web 1.0 and then web 2.0. So web 1.0 is where you could comment, you could post something out on the internet and it was disruptive, right? So they
Mhm.
had a thing where you'd go to a website and you'd go, "Hey," and it'd do a pop-up, "Hey, you want this?" or stuff. But Web 2.0 is when you could reply. Okay. That's when everything changed. There's actually something happened in Congress when everyone always was really silent during the whole congressional thing and the meetings. And one guy yelled out, he like heckled, and no one had ever done that before. And that's when Web 2.0 came out, is when people could start replying. And when that was happening, the algorithm would go, "Okay, we're going to get this guy." So this guy's website was for watches was at the top of Google. So
Mhm.
he figured out how to game the system. But remember, Google is really super smart, those guys there. So they started realizing if it's negative, and then they came out with all of these. Um, there's one that's called Rip Off Report that came out, and all these other types of websites. Then they came out with the testimony. What's the one for restaurants where you can comment?
Yelp. Yelp.
Yelp. Then Yelp came out and all this stuff,
Mhm.
and that's really where you can comment, reply,
Mhm.
and
Right.
report, right? But just my point is that the way that you use the content, it could be used in a negative way.
Mhm.
But I bet you that guy's not in business anymore
Right.
because and I got one more story is I went to this restaurant and it
Mhm.
was in Westlake Village when I lived in Westlake Village, and I wish I knew the name of it because I would name them right now. That's how big and deep and far my resentment goes. This happened about 15 years ago, if not for longer. But I bought a half a waffle, an egg, and bacon. And I used to go there every morning. I brought all my friends. I'd been going there 5 years, and I was moving from Westlake Village down to San Diego, and and so I bought a waffle, some eggs, and some bacon. And this was before Yelp, so you'd have to go on Yahoo to complain. Well, what happened is I said, "Oh, you know what? I want a whole waffle. I don't want a half a waffle. Can I just get a whole waffle?" The waitress went, "Sure." So it was $10 for a half a waffle, bacon and eggs, right? So when I went full waffle, it was $20. And you got to remember, this is 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like 2000 um 8 or 9. Okay. So the thing is that um I went, "Hey, you guys charged me $10 for a half a waffle." "Oh no, well, we had to separate everything and bring it." So I went on Yahoo and I complained, and the owner came back and he said, "Why don't you go to this other restaurant?" He started putting me down, but what he didn't realize is he was hurting his business.
Right.
Okay. So the watch guy was enhancing his business, but then they got smart, and I think all that happened on Yahoo too, the watch guy. But
Yeah.
then this restaurant guy, once Yahoo figured out, "Oh, you can't do that," it hurt his restaurant, and everyone started stopped going there. But he's still in business, so I didn't ruin his business over half a waffle,
Right.
but it did hurt. And even it's up there till this day, 15 years later.
Wow.
Okay, so then the next one is social savvy. How do you do this? How do you leverage your social media for success?
Well, you got to know which platform is better for you. Like Snapchat is definitely not something that I would use. And Pinterest, I haven't really used, but I'm going to explore that. That's actually something I want to look into. Twitter, I've never been one to tweet, so I
Well,
don't
I want to
really.
tell you something about Twitter. With our Israeli companies, I I we had a live event, and I made a Twitter account,
Mhm.
and I tweeted out, and I got more replies from a Twitter account that had no followers and
Yeah,
was following no one, and I got more click-throughs through that Twitter account than the other accounts. It was
yeah.
weird.
Well, I mean,
So,
that's why it's so great to test, go out and see what works for you. I found mine and you'll find yours, but you do have to test it to see what works.
right,
And think about your demographics, become your demographics. If it's women who are 40 to 50, it's probably Instagram. If it's business owners, it's definitely LinkedIn. And the way you speak to your people is different across the platform. Snapchat is super young. TikTok was all over, but it's got a whole different edgy format that's quick and lots of movement. So just know your platform, know who you're speaking to, and become that demographic.
right. And the other thing with the leveraging your social media is that you can repurpose. So we talked about this earlier, but what we put out there in Facebook, right? Or let's say YouTube, okay, here's an example. There's a video of me being silly from a long time ago. So India has been pestering and pestering and pestering me like a child that wants a cookie for this video. So I finally gave her the raw format of the video, and she's repurposing it right now. So it's going to
Mhm.
be me out there singing songs and being silly. And I think I'm talking about, uh, and the billionaires back then were Larry Ellison and the guy who drives a $40,000 car, and he owns Brookhurst or Green Street or whatever it's called. What's his name? And then Bill Gates.
Okay, yeah.
There's Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, and then who's that old guy who does Wall Street? Anyhow, that guy. It's been so long since I made the video, but so we're repurposing content from over a decade ago into new
Right.
social media, and we're leveraging that and we're leveraging using the social media for that. And another thing, now that I talked about that, is I was going to say something about old content. So Russell, can't remember his last name. It's not Brunson, but he did all of Yahoo, and he did. Oh no, that's Dennis Yu. Um, Russell did Yahoo. Um, where the place where you bought domains? There's only one place that you could buy domains in the 90s.
Hmm.
He did that, and then he did digital marketer, and he made the content for all of them. And he's actually on my podcast. He's a great guy. Anyhow, he told me that if you have some content in LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere, you want to go back to your old content and see which has the latest
Yes.
huh
I thought you were gonna say the highest number, like engagement. Yeah.
likes or the most comments. You want to go back, and what
Mhm.
he calls it is they're raising their hand. What they're doing is and it's not the people, it's the content of that post from, let's say, 5 years ago, when it
Mhm.
gets a lot of likes or comments, the content itself is raising its hand. So you
Mhm.
go back to that content and you change the date on it to the current date. I don't know how to do that. And what it does is it brings it to the forefront. And then, because that is your best performing content. Perry Belcher actually was saying, ask the question, and I replied with what I just said, and he's like, "Wow, that's a really smart." And I was like, well,
Yeah,
so
no, it's great. And you can repurpose content. So you don't have to always produce new stuff. In
yeah,
fact, I need to do that. I need to look at all my old videos because I have so many and see what did well and then tweak it. Maybe the hook's not as good as it could be.
right,
So really spend some time on content. And because again, it's not so much about just throwing stuff out there. It's actually about
So
engaging.
this is going to be a challenge in Coach Marketing Mastery, even though this is going live to the masses. It's going to be this week's challenge on Marco Polo is go back through your social media, find out where someone raised their hand, and
Right.
then boost that content. And this is how you're going to leverage your social media for success. And then I think this is the last one. Let me see. Is measure and improve. So tracking your digital footprint's impact. So that's going to be analytics.
Right.
So what are some of the ways that you track the analytics of your social media?
Yeah, so all the social media platforms has it. You can look at Instagram and you can see who's looking at your reels, your posts by gender, by age, when's the best time. So you can actually look to see when your ideal time to post is. It's also in LinkedIn. You can see the analytics, how many impressions you're getting. And I'm sure you can, I don't pay for LinkedIn, but I'm sure if you pay, you get more. YouTube as well. You can see how many views and how many likes, and of course you want them to comment and subscribe. But every platform has analytics, and it's worth taking some time to look to see what's performing.
And that's the LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, all of them. Instagram's really great because it shows you gender, it shows you age. I mean, you really can hone in on who your avatar, your ideal client is.
I think we all do that, but you're saying LinkedIn.
Well, I bet LinkedIn does it. I don't pay for it.
I'm saying LinkedIn.
I know.
Okay. So anyhow, yeah. And the other thing is this: is there's tools out there where you can bring all the data into one dashboard. I had a domain at one time called Custom Data Dashboard or something like that. I let it go, but it had to do with using the Google's dashboard. And it's really ninja. Not a lot of people are doing it, but you can bring all your content into one dashboard. And there's other tools that do that as well. There's also a tool that we use that brings all of our comments into one dashboard.
Right.
So that way we can we can connect, we can comment, and we can reply all in one space.
Right.
So there's really a way to bring all of this data together. And so when you're tracking your digital footprints, you also want to be able to connect with all of that tracking, all of the places where people are commenting.
And I want to say something that's valuable, and it's something that we do, is planning out your calendar. It's called an editorial calendar. And that way you sit down maybe on the weekend and you start looking at what you're going to do for the week or the month. And we actually have software that will do exactly that. You can blast out to all the platforms that you prefer, and you do it in one place, and it has analytics as well. So it's a great tool that keeps you from going, okay, I got to do LinkedIn, I got to do Instagram, I got to do YouTube. It's actually all in one spot. It's the greatest tool ever. I use it all the time.
Yeah, and India is the master at that. But also we're going to have more information at coachmarketingmasterclass.com. You can go ahead and go there, and India and I bring you something different. Probably the same thing we're talking today is what we're going to talk about then, but we're going to you can ask us questions. coachmarketingmasterclass.com. Go there right now. Go ahead and sign up. We'll see you there.
And it's great.
Also we have this podcast, and we have a live event coming up soon, and we'll go into that more in our next podcast or our next live event. Okay, so thanks for everyone for showing up. Thank you, India.
Thank you. Bye-bye.